So hello everybody. We'll at the minute here we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for everybody for joining. Quite a few people. So we'll go and get started. Fractilian says the recording going. And so let's kick it off here and give us Ash a quick kind of rundown of some of the features that you have been releasing in the last week, and then we'll eventually open it up in about 15, 20 minutes to talk with the builders and developers out there that are creating their own features and extending the Hyperfy universe, basically. So we'll catch up with those folks. We got a couple speakers lined up. But just to get started, let's go ahead, Ash, and give us a quick rundown of what you have.
Cool. I'll give you a quick overview of the things that are happening in the core first, and then we can move over to community members and see if anyone wants to talk about what they're working on as well. The last couple of days or week, we've kind of like shipped the foundational stuff for apps. So we can now basically creators can build apps and then download them out of the platform into a new file format that we've got. And that format can then just be dropped into essentially any world and that's running Hyperfy anywhere. And by doing that, we're kind of like just kind of setting like a foundation for all of this stuff, and it just making it easy for anyone to be able to use that format. And we've already got obviously the HP's done the marketplace that reads in that stuff, and we've got metadata and images and stuff in there as well, so we can start it just kind of just opens it up for doing that. I'm super excited. I think I mentioned the other day in Discord, I'm like, I don't even know if anyone, I couldn't even think of a single example of another place that kind of does this, where you can drop a 3D model into a Hyperfy world. If you're a creator, you would use like a predefined template type thing, like maybe a pet template, and then you can throw your custom GLB in there to make your own completely unique pet type thing, and then download that and use it anywhere. And we kind of have the same sort of thing where, like, if you're a creator and you actually know how to code, you can drop a 3D model in, script it. You could do like a door that opens when you get close to it or something like that. And then just being able to literally download that and keep it and do whatever you want with it, like for backups or putting it across worlds or selling it or putting it in NFTs or anything really. You can just kind of do that. I think that's really cool. It's kind of innovative, and I think it's kind of like the first step towards what we're trying to do here. And I think a lot of people will probably get a better understanding of what we're trying to do when they start seeing how that all works. But yeah, I mean, Unity has stuff like this. They have like prefabs, but they aren't like something that they kind of have like this weird package system where you kind of have to be you have to be like a dev to kind of understand how to do that kind of stuff. But we're trying to make it so that it's like easy for anyone. So like you have to be a dev to create these apps, but you don't have to be a dev to use them. So you can just give somebody a thing that they drop in their world and it's easy to use and whatnot. The other thing, so the last couple of days I've been working on snap points. Actually, it probably was more like one day. It kind of this is something that's been knocking around in my brain for a while, and I knew we needed it. And it's just kind of like makes it a little bit easier for people to build, where everything kind of snaps together. And I like the idea of using something like that over a system that's like something like Blender that has the widget where you can drag and move things around. I feel like, and V1 had this as well. I feel like it's useful, but I don't think that, I think that it can be quite cumbersome and annoying at times. So I feel like just being able to drop something into the world and snap all these pieces together really opens it up to everybody and not just creators. So I'm really hyped about that. I think it worked out pretty well. The tech behind it was interesting because essentially all the objects in the world could theoretically have 5 to 10 to it could maybe even have 20 snap points on it, every single thing in the world. And so to deal with that, I had to build this really performant octree that you could throw all those points in so that they're always there, and you can query them and find snap points that align with other snap points. But we already had a little bit of that tech already. So I basically just reformatted a couple of things that we had for our octree to do that. But yeah, it's getting into some technical details. But yeah, it was interesting. It was good. What else?
And you mentioned prefab. So we went from apps being downloadable and shareable and things like that to prefabs. Could you explain a little bit difference between an app and a prefab that you're mentioning?
Well, so the way that I see it is there are different kinds of apps for depending on what kind of person you are and what kind of things you would want to use. So I shared an image a while back, and it basically outlined the 3 different types of apps, but also the 3 different kinds of people that would be building and using those apps in their worlds. The first one is like, it's foundational. Like you're a dev, you write code, and you can create like a base template or a prototype of a thing that has all the logic embedded in it and whatnot. But maybe it lets you swap out the 3D model for something different. So I use pets as a good example for that. Then you've got the next layer up, which is people who are like good at 3D design, 3D art, whatnot. They're good in Blender. And those people can then take those prototype apps from people that know how to code and use them. So they'll be able to take like a pet prototype, create a 3D model of a pet, add the animations and whatnot, and then they can just add that to the app without needing to look at the code. They don't need to understand how any of that works. They can just add that. And then the next layer of the apps is like the people who don't know how to design anything. They don't know how to code. They have no freaking clue what's going on, but they do want to build, and there's lots of content maybe, and people have created a whole bunch of cool things with these prototypes or from scratch or whatnot. And they would just get an app of a pet that's fully functional that they can just drop in the world. And those things could be anything. They can be simple assets like trees, like walls and whatnot, and they could have snap points on them now. And then you've got things like agents that are, you can just drop in the world. They'll walk around and talk to you. Then you got pets and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the one you shared. Yeah. And so the idea is that we kind of like transcend all of this, but one of the biggest problems right now is trying to explain this to people, because the concept is simple. It's just apps. It's apps all the way down. It's apps everywhere. But the problem is that like when people see apps and then they see code, they think potentially that they need to be able to code, and that's not the truth. It's kind of like it's multi-tiered and there's lots of layers there. But I think when we start getting out some more examples and like showing, we basically just need to lead by example and show how this stuff works. It'll all make a lot more sense to people.
Yeah, and we got a couple demos also on the way on this call, actually showing some of these apps. HP is going to give us a preview of some of the app marketplace stuff that he's been doing and showing us how to upload, download, things like that. And so you touched upon.
Apparently, Howie has already added snap point support to Hyperfy tools for people who use Blender.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Howie's killing it with his
That's
extension. It's been officially accepted by Blender, and when I looked, it was one of 6 tools that are related to physics in some way, game engine development, and really out of 1 in 300 tools in total. So I think that's a good example of how powerful this tool is and useful, and how it's going to get could get a lot of use from folks that have Blender. And so you touch upon a little bit about the agents that as well, and MetaMike. I'll post a quick link in the chat as well, where MetaMike had set up some agent stuff running locally. Could you give us a quick kind of snapshot of where we are with the agents, how close we are to running them locally, or not locally, running them, just jumping into a world and being able to drop in a file and say, hey, this is my character, and have that character come to life. How far away are we on that front?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of friction in getting agents in, because the thing that powers the agent needs to exist. And so right now you would need, like if you wanted to run an Eliza or something like that, you would need to have that running somewhere out of the world, and then give the access to that agent to get into the world through an app. but there's a couple things that we could do there to make that simpler. One is we can approach people who do have hosting for agents and try and get them to like support the Hyperfy part, which is a very small part, but it's just a little addition to the way that Eliza's work, specifically for Eliza's, but it should work for any other type of agent as well. The other thing we could do is we could have our own like Eliza hosting thing. But yeah, we're reaching out to a couple of people, like platforms that do Elizas, and we'll try and figure out what's going on there. But in terms of like functionality, yeah, I think so. You basically need the actual agent running somewhere, and you need a 3D avatar for your agent. But then other than that, if we already have a couple of random agent apps floating around that do various different things and work slightly differently. And like speaking with an agent is kind of cool. It's like, it's not like a DM box. You got free open world chat, and they can kind of see who comes into the world and who's leaving and who gets near you. And MetaMic has done a lot of pretty interesting stuff there around. There's a video floating around I think it's in
Agents?
In the agents channel, yeah, where I think it's really cool to see like different ways of doing this, and with like the agent basically watching you walk around, and as you get closer to it, he'll look at you, and then doing that kind of stuff. One of the things that we really want to do with agents is let them walk around, and that really kind of just hinges on us getting the correct physics and stuff working for that. I don't want to jump too much into that, but like I think we're like halfway there with agents, and they're already super useful. They just can't walk around and they can't interact with things, and those are the next parts that we really want to focus on.
Yep. Yeah, huge difference from what we had in V1, which is you had to basically statically define the prompts, the question and answers that you wanted, and create that conversation tree, basically. And yeah, MetaMic has been hitting that agents channel hard with facts, basically, of how do you set up NPCs and really cool models. So anybody that's interested in getting agents working or set up, there is a design side of it where you have to think of, okay, how do you want this agent? What are the points that you want this agent to interact with the user? What are the things that you want that agent to do? So
it's super interesting, because it's like, you want to be able to make the agent do things, but you also don't want to like control that. You want to be able to just give them the ability and then let them decide to do those things. And I think that's where like the interesting stuff happens, because ultimately I just want, like, everyone says Westworld, but that's kind of it. Like, you just want worlds that have a whole bunch of interactive stuff in it, and just let the agents loose so they can walk around, go pick up a fishing rod, realize that they can take that over to a pond and start fishing, catch fish, go take it to someone. I don't know. There's lots of interesting stuff that could just happen naturally. Yeah, I'm super excited for that stuff.
Yeah, I'm talking about Westworld. We got a demo spun up for Westworld. Hopefully that world is up and running. Fractilians, if you're able to, could you bring up Dr. Doge and I think Howie? And Howie's new name is Howie Done It, because he's done it all. So in the chat, that's what I'm seeing. They're calling him Howie Done It. So go ahead, Fractilians. I'm not able to get on this. Actually, let me see. I'm on my phone now. I ended up not being able to use my phone, using my computer. Oh, there you go. Oh, okay. Perfect. All right, Dr. Doge.
Yo, there we go. Can y'all hear me?
Yep. Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yo, thanks for having me up here today. Yeah, definitely. I think Howie might be in here somewhere around. I'll be taking a minute, but no, definitely there is a little bit of a definitely, you could call it like Westworld, kind of like you were just saying there a minute ago. Almost having a world big enough in that sense, right, where you do have a lot of interactable, kind of actions, whether it be from maybe having an agent, kind of up here, you'll see soon at the saloon. Maybe, you go up, it'll just ask you, hey, what you want to drink, partner, something like that. And then it can spawn something. You got a different list or whatever, and maybe it just pops up right there on the bar, something like that. I mean, anything's kind of when you get in here and we've seen it the last few days, shout out Bogey and Howie a lot, and they've been helping tremendously with the scripting and everything. God knows I don't know much about that stuff.
Yeah, it's good to have the hackers. I don't see Howie on, Bogey. I'll bring you up as well. You can hang out with us. Dr. Doge, do you want to share on the screen kind of what that world looks like?
Oh, yes, indeed. Here, let me get this up. I'll share it for y'all real quick. Let me see. Share screen.
Looks like folks have also put in the link. Yep. We're going to enter the matrix soon.
All right, there we go. Oops. Oh, yeah, I see a lot of people loading on in. Nice.
We're going to try to crash the world for you.
Let's do it. Give it a nice stress test. Oh, yeah. All right, so for what's that? Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to notice a skybox. Is that like dynamic? Like as time goes on, it's changing, or is it kind of the environment, the vibe?
At the moment, it's actually running one of Bogey's apps here, Sky. It is somewhat dynamic in the sense of you can change it there. There's a night mode, there's a dusk mode, and a aurora mode here. I'll put it real quick. See, I get close. Let me pull this up. I've got it set on this item here, so just the script, the little X logo. But essentially, we come in. No. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, turn it back up here. Perfect. Let's try that. All right, there we go. Yeah, now it's back up.
Yeah, we can see it.
Pretty much here, it's he's got a nice script set up that essentially allows you to drag and drop any kind of texture, JPEG, HDR back with it, and as well as the HDR, and kind of give it, nice little vibe shift depending on whether you want it to be daytime, dusk, night. Here, I'll swap it over. Might take a second because I just loaded it up, but here we go. There we go. Kind of give it a night vibe. And then the aura mode here. Kind of similar there. A little bit more, but I know, Bogey, you might be able to speak a little bit more on it. I know you kind of been playing around today with the newest version that got pushed out there, and with the actual time of day, yeah. So
yes, the new one Ash made, the solar panel app, like that. That's crazy how that works. But yeah, all this really is like the old version of the Sky app. I just added a switch so you could add more Sky boxes if you wanted. You could like mix it up.
Like presets, basically. You could
configure
them. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see here. I can go to this one, change back that, and I can give it more of a night. Let's see here. Right, I'm gonna pull that out. Clear.
That's really cool. I wonder if in the future we could probably make it so that you could blend between them, so that it's not just a hard change. They kind of just like blend between different backgrounds when you change them.
Like a little tween or something.
Yeah, something like that. I think the problem with HDRs is that they you always notice the first time you load one, it like freezes for a couple of seconds. It's because HDRs are so freaking heavy. And so like we try to, like if you've got a background you could have a 4K background, that's fine. But an HDR, you probably want to keep it down to like 256 pixels. And then they load fast and don't lag a little bit too much.
I think these ones are like 2K at the minute.
I think so. Possibly. I ran them through the ran them through the downsizer, but popped them in doing that there.
Yeah, they only really used for storing lighting, and then you'll see it on reflections and things that are shiny. But for the most part, like if you just have a really tiny one, like 200 pixels wide or something, it's generally fine.
I've definitely been excited. I've been playing around with a lot of this stuff here, and there's a lot of folks in here. This is running pretty smooth, actually. Let me check here. I know earlier it was running about 3.5, maybe 4 gigs in the browser there. Let me see here. Move to his stats.
Yeah, just 4 at the minute. That's what
I love the clouds that you have floating around. Like that should be. We should turn that into an app that anyone can just throw in their world, something like that.
It's being dynamic. It adds a special touch. Indeed, it does. I mean, everything in this sense, like even with the animations, kind of here, it was kind of talking about ages and things earlier. Even this guy just kind of welcomed me into the city, giving you directions or something like that. But this is another one here. It just kind of adds a little bit of life to it, to a world, especially in a size like this. I know I'm more like doing the content, the VR stuff, actually. World building used UE5 for a bit. A lot more than I have Blender, so to say. But yeah, that's kind of more along the lines of the things that I like to do in there. But so far over the last few days, this has been pretty insane here, to say the least. Yeah, just seeing everything being able to be used.
Including that train, we're going to be able to jump on the train to a different world.
That's already in the process.
Yeah, I think the clouds and the plane flying around, just like it adds so much for just a little bit of extra, a touch to the world. Just makes it feel more lively and interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't want to say it started off like a joke, but you see the Popeyes, you see kind of everything a little bit related there, right? Yeah, I'm a big fan of Popeyes, and that was one of the things, bro. I said, man, it's one of these days I'm going to end up running a metaverse version of Popeyes, whatever. And then sure enough, here it comes. As the model started out when V2 dropped, and then it popped in, and that model just kind of, it's made its way around here to a few different worlds, and it's finding its resting place here in Westworld, so to speak. But yeah, I'm sure y'all have noticed that too. It's kind of the little food court, I guess you would call it. There is a ton of different places here around the map. Some of them, like SCO is built, got THC Cash is putting together little things, just testing stuff, popping it in, seeing what it could be, but kind of getting an idea of what it would be like to have a fully functioning like agents in each one of these, having an actual full.
Are there multiple builders that you have like cooperating in this one world?
Oh yeah, like at the moment, absolutely. So as far as that, I mean, it's like I said, it's Howie, Bogey, you've got SCO, we've got TC Cash, and say especially pretty much all of these assets that you see around here has been touched by somebody within the group and placed in like everything, whether it's just ideas coming about it, different, you see the little UFOs and stuff flying around, so it's definitely been a group effort. Yes.
That's super cool. Yeah, definitely interested in if you could write up in something in the future, like describing how it is to collaborate. I think that's one feature that I fully appreciate from being from the Hyperfy is that you can collaborate dynamically and work together to build things together. It's not only a solo game, it's a multiplayer game to build together and create an experience. So definitely interested to get your perspective on that experience.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, that's kind of like even throughout my whole time here in the space, it's always been like that. I mean, it's, some people can definitely do everything, all at once, but some people, they only, they know what they know. They got their own skill sets. And it is always nice when you're just sitting back, chilling, having brainstorming moments. And, you look at things differently sometimes when you get a different perspective on it, especially when it's like setting up worlds like this, in that sense, whole full on kind of environments. And I think that's, it's really I like about it best.
Very cool.
This giant ass avatar is so
I know. Too much. I love it.
We got to get the kebab shop set up too over here somewhere. Yeah. We can see we got the Waffle House, the Burger King, Caesars, Taco Bell, Popeyes, the saloon over here. I like the pets. The idea you was talking about there earlier too, Ash. It would be spot on. And that's kind of one thing I think a lot of people probably have been wanting in a metaverse style in an environment like this, and just really, I don't think nobody's kind of necessarily figured that out yet in the sense of having it. But yeah.
Completely agree. Is being able to have your person, your personality or avatar embodied in the experience, and then also have things that are part of you. So pets and tools, be able to carry around your vehicle that you could just kind of like mount basically and drive around in the world as long as the world supports it, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, did you want to show us anything else on here?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think I see a few people here might have already kind of figured it out. Maybe been around the world there. I see them hovering over and swapping avatars. This is another little cool feature here. How we set up. Also, for anybody in the world down there listening right now, if y'all would like admin privileges, it's just /admin and then Dr. Doge, and you should be able to access this next feature here, which is the build mode. Essentially, it's a really, really, really handy tool that's, I guess you'd call it there. Bogey and Howie both collabed on this one here. A little bit of brainstorming, but essentially, once you're in it by activate, you just hit B. You'll notice you have essentially like a little cam. You can WASD to go around the map. If you hold shift and left click, that's pretty much, your directional looking around with WASD, and essentially you are in a drone cam now. You can fly around, but now you can also pretty much just hover over an item inside the world and right click. You have your move, inspect, anything like that. Now you can fine tune position. You'll see the little pop up that comes out, and this is like your rotation, scaling, everything like that. Kind of essentially a little bit more in-depth build mode. I think comes in it very, very handy. Very now, especially mixed with these snappables, which Howie has a world set up too that he's been working on. I think Bogey, you have it as well now in yours too, if I'm not mistaken.
The snappables, that should be. I think I've got the latest build. Yeah,
you need to do that here on this one as well, and get it going through. But yeah. Let me see if that's
nice.
I think that's the only controls. Yes, indeed.
And then you'll have to change the password after, because we're posting this to YouTube, so you're going to get a bunch of hackers trying to dump 1 gigabyte GLBs.
It's doing a good stress test here as it is.
Oh
nice. Wow! And then. Oh, nice video. I like that. Yeah, the builder mode is going to be wild. Having the ability for camera and move around a little bit. We did have one question from the group, from the chat here, and then we'll switch over to the host guys, the infra guys. They've set up some cool things we'll talk about shortly. But one question for the dev team is related to the UI and any updates on the UI. We talked about just right now the camera mode, builder mode, and it'll be good to hear what you guys have planned or kind of working through. I know during the developer hub we talked through it at length. Wonder where you guys have landed and where you think we might be able to see more builder versus or builder / user UI. And this would be for, did Ash drop? Oh, no, Ash is there. I see him. Go ahead, Ash.
Sorry, was that? I was reading chat.
Yeah, yeah, no.
I think I missed the end of what you...
It's basically about the UI, because we just talked a little bit about how the camera motion that we have from Westworld, kind of, and leading us into the builder view and the builder mode versus or compared to a regular user mode, and kind of describing that. That's a question from, I think, Paradox. I think, Paradox had asked. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this build mode's really cool. You kind of envision like having some kind of camera that you can just walk over to and inhabit, and then fly around and do things like that as well. Because I think everyone's going to have different kind of ways that they want to build. Like, I'm personally just happy kind of running around and moving things around that way. But then there's certain cases where you want to like have a free cam, which is really useful to get in tight spaces or just get from different angles and stuff for building. that like that's the kind of thing that it could be freeform and be done in apps, so that you could have a camera that's smooth and moves around, but then you might have some other app that's a camera that is more like rigid or has other features and stuff attached to it. And so we kind of just like have the freedom to do that. Every app can take over the keys that it needs to take over. Is that web views in?
Nah, it's an image.
It's just an image. Okay. I'm like, can you just PR that? Thanks. Yeah. So I think customizing the UI is just something that I think we should expose a lot of the UI stuff. So we already have some basic UI that you can put in world, but also like we should make it so that you can do custom overlay UI like on the actual screen itself to add buttons and things as needed. And that way we're kind of just doing it in an open way that isn't completely locked down to like whatever the core team decides. But yeah, it's still early days, so we'll figure out what's going on there.
Yep.
Try to make it the best we can.
Yep. But yeah, definitely appreciate that you guys have focused on the app sharing, download, upload, which we're going to actually demo with H. Provicos. I don't even know how to pronounce your name. I just call you HP all the time. Hopefully you're cool with that. So HP, go ahead, show us the app sharing and kind of show us the marketplace you got going on as well.
Yeah. Let me see. I cannot share my screen. I'm not sure why.
Oh, Doge, you might have to stop sharing. I think I need one.
Yeah, I just started. Yeah.
One on the stage.
There we go. Yep.
Does it work?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So that's the marketplace. You can access it by going on hyperworld.host, then going to apps at the bottom top right.
So we
top right.
Right now we see localhost 3000 apps. I don't see.
Let me see.
Yeah, we'll drop a link in the chat. I'll do it. Hyperfy.
Yeah, let me lower the frame rate, and that's maybe because I'm on Linux. Just give me a second, I'll try another way.
Yep, all good.
Okay, do you see it?
Yes, we do now. Yep.
Okay, cool. So you can go to hyperworld.us, and at the top right there is a app button. We'll make that more obvious. It's a bit hard to see right now. Then there is a list of different apps. You can just click the download button, and it will download the .hype file. Then you can go to your world and simply drag and drop it on it there. Then if you like build an app in your world, you can just inspect, download, and to add it to that marketplace, you log in, you go to the dashboard, then to apps, create apps. There you enter the name, the license if there is one, the image for the app, the Hyperfy app, the app file, create app, and then it will show up the marketplace, and so everyone will be able to download it. You can also edit it if you have like an update or anything, and you want to update it, you can. Just change name, description, whatever, the file if you need. And if you want to remove it from the marketplace, you can switch it to private, and it will be removed from the marketplace. So yeah, it's about it.
Yeah, and one thing I want to call out here is that this was built maybe 3 days. Gosh, let me know how long ago was it that you locked down the download upload app?
I think this came out the exact same day that we released apps, right? Did it not?
Yes, we built the
Crazy.
marketplace itself quite quickly, and then we had to just do the create on updates.
I love this. It's so good. It's just kind of like a good example of just the way that we're trying to build this in such an open way that anyone could just grab it and go do whatever they want with it. I think it's cool. Something I learned is that the license field is probably something that we could embed in the metadata of the app itself. I didn't even think about it, but I think that it's probably worth putting in there for sure. Very cool.
Yeah, we are working on fetching the metadata from the app. So as soon as there is more metadata, like description or something like that, we can fill that directly when you upload the file.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then this metadata that you're tracking is that list somewhere that you have, maybe on Git or something like that we can reference, so we can say, okay, hey, what should be part of the core so that everybody can track these important pieces of information.
Yeah, we don't have it written down anywhere, but the metadata is like, if you are a builder in a world, you can right click anything and go inspect, and then on the edit tab, you basically all the fields there are part of the metadata. So you've just got like an image, a name, an author, a link to some URL, and and a description. Yeah.
Oh, and also a question for HP is that his list that he's building, so we could kind of merge or have a PR or whatever. Will that become a PR HP that we can then kind of incorporate into the main core app?
Which part are you talking about?
The apps don't go in the core. There's nowhere to put them in there.
No, not the core. Not the apps. The metadata. So the metadata of the apps. Of like
the metadata will be like inside the Hyperfy. So like it's already part of the core. Like it's
I guess maybe you're right. Yeah, that there isn't anything in the core, because when people create apps, they can put whatever they want. So I guess maybe that's the source of the question, Ash. Maybe it's where in the core, when you define an app, are we going to expose those fields to make them editable when people are creating? Yeah.
So the app file is kind of flexible in that it will allow you to add extra stuff to it. We have some core stuff, which is basically what I listed before. But I think things like the license is a good idea, because some people are fine with sharing apps, but they maybe want to lock it down a little bit more, or not allow people to use it to generate revenue without buying a license or something. I think license should be probably something part of the core for sure. But there's nothing stopping people from adding extra data to their apps that maybe other marketplaces want to use to put stuff in there. But yeah, it's open to that kind of stuff. This is similar to what VRMs did, by the way. So VRM avatars, they have some metadata attached to them, which includes like an image embedded inside the VRM file itself, and you've got the author, and then you've got there's like a remix property on it. That means so you can create an app that is that allows people to go and edit the code when they get the app, but then you can also lock it so that people do get the app, they can't edit the code and do whatever you might want to lock it down.
And that kind of explains, I remember saying remix, I think, was something in the app configuration. Is that kind of where you got it from, is a remix setting?
It ends up just being a lock. So there's two things. When you make an app available in a world for people to download, so you can actually make it public so that anyone, not even just the builders, but anyone that visits that world can just right click it and download that app if they want to. And then the extra option on top of that is locking it. And if it's locked, that means that they can take the app and use it, but they can't change the model or edit the code or see the code easily.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you,
This
HP.
This is kind of like a prerequisite to what I think would be really cool is people having worlds filled with all their cool stuff that they've created, and they're either giving them away to people so that they can use them, but it's like a little, it's like a storefront, but it's in world and you can see it and like interact with the things before you like grab them. And that's kind of like a prerequisite to doing in world stores, where you actually like can interact with a whole bunch of things, like fly a ship around and then decide whether you want to buy it or not. And since the entire engine is really open to being using any kind of like transactions through, whether that's on any chain or using credit card or Stripe or something like that, it just means that people will be able to build kind of like any kind of things like that.
Yeah.
Super
Nice.
flexible.
Yeah. Thank you, HP, for that. Also, a quick call out for Lastrom. He wasn't able to join on the voice. And so I just wanted to give a quick shout out to some of the features that hopefully we'll be able to catch next week from his world. So his approach, he's also a host provider. His approach was to do things, everything in world, basically create a hyper meta world, which then allows you to interact with hyper worlds through that meta world. And through there, you're able to sign up, do and manage your worlds, and also kind of basically create a catalog of worlds from his meta world. And so that kind of also brings us to another topic, which is the Zesty app that we had seen very briefly. Let me see if I could. I'm going to try to join the screen share and then see if it works. So I could share on the screen kind of the Zesty world, or the Zesty configuration, just to kind of show that piece, because it's also an app that also connects with an external service. Oh, we have somebody.
I love I love what Laustrom's doing with the in-world stuff, because it's ironically weird that you can. It feels to me like, especially in the near future when we open this up to everyone, is that it's kind of easier to build a virtual world than it is to build a website, and like I think it's kind of counterintuitive. But yeah, I think it's cool to be able to spatially create the thing that you're trying to do rather than just making a 2D website. I think that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Limbo, I think. Can you speak?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, we can hear you.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. Did you want to briefly show kind of the Zesty setup? Hopefully, you have a world that you can show us.
I'm not on my computer right now.
Okay.
If you're able to just go to like relay.zesty.xyz, I could probably just walk through a little bit of that. Thank you. So yeah, basically, the TLDR is it seems like there's going to be a little bit of fragmentation in just the number of worlds and the number of domains that are out there, and so basically the relay is it's something that anybody can run, but we're just one of the hosts of it, and it's able to basically index kind of all the worlds that have integrated the Zesty beacon. And we don't really want to call it, I guess, not even like the Zesty. We don't want to call it like a Zesty beacon. It's just a beacon. You can configure it to point out to any relay. So we're just running a relay, and the relay basically is just a directory. It's an index of any spatial apps. So Hyperfy, is one of the platforms to build spatial apps, right? So you'll see in there like kind of a mixture of a couple of WebXR apps, which people are already playing inside headsets, and then you'll see mixed in there with like Hyperfy. So kind of the next steps for us are you're able to see like other users that are in there, right? So the number of people that are in each space. So kind of two things is, one is being able to find your friends. So let's say you sign in with your Phantom wallet or some sort of identity service. We're still deciding like how to handle identity, but we'd like people to be able to find their friends and socialize and find Hyperfy worlds that people that they know are already in without having to coordinate over Discord and stuff like that. So I think that would be a cool thing to add. And then secondly, is just a better way to categorize and discover Hyperfy worlds. So right now you see all the apps on there, we want to give people the ability to be able to categorize. Um, I just want to see Hyperfy worlds, or like I just want to see games that I can play inside my XR headset on the browser. So I think the uptake for the beacon has been awesome, and looking forward to kind of seeing it grow.
Yep. And then the metadata for each world, is that like free text that the world owner and Bogey, thank you for sharing your screen. I had issues on my computer.
No worries, bro.
Yep. So Limbo, in terms of the metadata attached to the world, like the filters, let's say we would want to see different types of worlds. Like one is a gaming world, one is a art gallery or something like that. Where would that fit within this scheme?
Yeah, so even just amongst like WebXR apps, there's like rhythm games, there's kind of art galleries, there's instruments that you can play in. So we've started to kind of introduce the idea of tags. There is no search yet, but you should be able to kind of edit kind of text tags within your beacons. Kind of within your beacon integration to indicate what sort of app you are. But I think there's a smarter way of doing this. That's more that requires less input from the beacon, the person integrating the beacon. Like for example, like being able to just see what's in your world, right? And hey, we see something music related. We see something kind of architecture or art related, and we should be able to get there. And I think like all this kind of ties in with where it seems like Ash and Sari are going with the agents work. So we're just kind of just waiting on what that will look like. But tagging, like to answer your question, it's tags for now. But I think there's some other ways to go there.
Yeah, no, super powerful what you just mentioned about the. Oh, did we lose him? Did we lose Limbo? Oh no, he's there. Okay, yeah.
No, I'm here.
No, very, very powerful. This, like, basically you could scan a world, read the environment, read what's going on, and interpret how it's set up. And I guess the really cool thing is if these are standard apps that are being used, you can say, okay, these worlds that use these combination of apps are typically going to be this type of world, and you could categorize based on the apps that are available within the environment. So you just grab a list of the apps that are there, and from that list, you can quickly tell, oh, it's this type of world. So very powerful, and looking forward to that, because you're right. One of the challenges with cooperation between different worlds or platforms is the effort it takes for them to integrate. And so definitely HP, appreciate you making the Zesty Beacon available, because that's an example of what we need is let's lower the barrier so you can create these integrations across worlds. I think it's going to be very important for us to be able to connect worlds together, and Zesty, the spatial beacon, is one of those things that will get us to that point. And Bogey, you had set up configuration. If you can, could you open up the menu to show how easy the configuration is? It is literally like 6 fields or so.
Yes.
And yeah, go ahead. Show us the animation where you can stop the beacon and start it.
I know. I just did that part. Was like, it was something I was like hoping I could get working, but it just, after this last update, shout out to Limbo for helping me, get the most up to date version of the beacon. But yeah, literally, like, I'll just do that and stop it. So obviously, you need the relay URL, which is this URL. That's good. I had that wrong, but then you just fill in the rest of the info, like the metadata, if you will. The URL, where is the world, the name of the world, and this is deliberate. My world is currently, is heavily, let's just say, it's not finished. But yeah, it's not finished, but it's also like I'm not ready to spoon feed anyone yet. So there's a lot going on. But so that's why it's all like gobbledygook. If anyone was wondering that. But yeah, that's why. And yeah, so you can add a thumbnail. I made a little mistake earlier. Just type the. I had I did that by accident. It's going to probably because when I was setting this up, I was running around trying to wrangle a hyperduck. which is down there somewhere. I think I don't know where I left him. He's down there
The
somewhere.
slippery hyperducts, very slippery.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, once you set all that up, and then you just you don't even have to click enter. You just stop typing, click away from the text box. If it starts spinning, the beacon should be running. But yeah, I was really impressed with how this came about, because I was working on it randomly last night, and I was like, this is cool. And then what I was envisioning is now here, so that's wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling. But I can't believe, honestly, how fast everything is moving, man. Because like literally 3 days ago, we didn't have snappable things, we didn't have beacons, we didn't have apps. Like we were still sharing source code, code and source files. It was wild. But I really love like how it's like all packaged up now. It's like really like having the download button there, bam, just drag it into another world, just reconfigure it. It's lovely.
I love that you can go to HP's marketplace, get the Zesty app, go to your world, literally any world, drop that into your world, enter in a couple of fields like descriptions and stuff like that, and then it magically shows up on Zesty's listing page. Like this is absolutely insanity. Like there's so many things happening and interconnected things to just doing this completely open. Limbo, I'm super curious if you ever stumbled across Lighthouse. Maybe doing something similar to this. And then I heard recently that they completely open sourced it. And I don't know if there's any kind of like crossover or anything happening there, but like what they had was really cool as well. And I'm just curious to make sure.
I'm talking with just before they open sourced it, I had a conversation with Joe, and we'll see. I think we'll see what happens. I guess. Yeah, really I mean, everything is open, right? So. Honestly, like we also plan on open sourcing all the code for the relay stuff. So like the reason why we left the like that relay URL field like blank is anybody that integrates it's honestly it's not our beacon, it's everybody's beacon, right? So you don't need to even use the Zesty relay. You can spin up your own relay, your own directory if you want, and you can make your own directory of just Hyperfy apps. And what's cool is that relays can actually start following each other. So let's say someone a relay specializes in just indexing like all the Hyperfy apps. And there's another relay that comes in and is like, hey, I want all those apps I want all those worlds that are being indexed by that relay. So we integrate the activity pub protocol. So you can kind of like Mastodon, you can just like, you can be like
a mesh network.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that should be pretty cool.
Very cool. Emotional question about V1 worlds to V2. I assume chess and Feta tech will be non-functioning. Yes, we got a new scripting type of thing happening here. So a lot of them can be ported over. I actually had already kind of tried a few things where I took the scripts from a V1 and said, can you make it into V2? And it was pretty close. So V2 is way simpler and more flexible. So I think we'll see better things happening there. But yeah, all the vehicles and stuff, we'll port that over. That's cool. We got this.
I also want to give a shout out for MSub2. Like he's been like some of the WebXR stuff that he's been pushing.
Yes.
Has been really cool, and I think we'll see some cool stuff come out. He likes to work on it over the weekend, so
yeah, for sure. Did M2 did the beacon as well for Zesty?
Exactly, yeah. M2 he wrote all the beacon kind of scripting. But then I didn't see the animation that was it you Bogey?
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
So that was really neat.
It's kind of weird that it's the Hyperfy logo. Shouldn't it be a Zesty logo?
Just no. I mean,
I always picture a beacon as like an antenna or something that you kind of like set up, and maybe it glows at the top when it's emitting data.
Glowing.
I like that.
I like the glowing. Each click, it kind of glows and says this.
I like that idea.
Ones and zeros out into the ether.
Yeah.
Sweet. I know what I'm doing next week.
Yeah. Thank you, Bogey. Definitely appreciate you hanging out in the developers chat, dropping knowledge left and right. Definitely does not go unnoticed. Very much appreciate that, and everybody else dropping down knowledge, sharing what you guys got going on. We probably, what would help a lot is dropping things in the showcase. I think that would be the best place to share what you guys are working on. So I'll drop the link here. So whether it's an app that you're playing with, trying to get working, or it's a service or anything, and it doesn't even have to be completed or completely working, just drop it in showcase. Say, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm looking at. That way we can start tracking projects that people are working on, things that we're collectively doing, so we could all partner up.
Yeah, for sure. I get DMs like all the time of things that people are working on. I'm like, man, build in public, please. People need to see the cool things that you're making.
Yeah.
There's so much things happening, and I can't even imagine what it's going to be like, once we start. We're still like very tech centered, and once we start opening up to be a lot more simpler and easier for everyone, there's going to be some crazy stuff happening for sure.
Yeah, especially with something that Crew had shared recently with the autocoder. I'm going to drop the link here. But yeah, it's crazy how quickly we're going to get away from scripting and things like that, and going right into just people imagining things and things working right out of the box. So I just posted a link here showing how Crew had prototypes auto code through prompts. So basically, he prompted the world to do something, and then the LLM was able to come up with code to do things, make models move around and spin around. But yeah, to the point of building in public, maybe it doesn't have to be open source. I know open source is the ideal way to just put it up on Git, whatever you're working on. But even just talking about it, saying this is what I am passionate about or looking at, is helpful for others to see, oh, okay, this is something that is being looked at. And we can then, through a collective, provide feedback, direction, say, hey, you know what, it could be cool if it did this instead, or could do this, or add functionality. And that really will help everybody to hone in on the key features that will make Hyperfy apps super powerful. So any other parting words, questions? I've been missing the chat a little bit, but highly, and then pay with Hyper. Yes. We also have to coordinate on using Hyper wherever we can. Definitely would like to see that more as we grow and scale up. Any other comments? Omka, thank you for your idea about the tips, the tip bot or the tip agent. That could be an entire bot.
Good idea.
Just somebody create a bot and have the bot, skim a little bit off the top, take a little % of the tip, and then pass it forward. That's a completely viable business model right there, I'd say.
Yeah, it's just less friction. It's super easy to just give it to people without having to worry about asking for their wallet and pulling up Phantom or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, you could send me your private keys. I can accept private keys as well.
I'm just gonna throw something in there real quick before we leave. I've been dealing with like Solana NFTs for various reasons. Metaplex like handles everything on Solana with tokens and NFTs, and they give you one function, and it is called fetch all digital assets by owner. And then you just put in the address, and it tells them all the tokens and all the NFTs that they own in like one blob, which is crazy. And tokens even have metadata on Solana, so you could put literally like an avatar in a token or something. I don't know. I'm excited about messing around with this.
That's cool. So that's better than EVMs, right? Like you have to use something like Alchemy or whatnot.
Yeah, that's it. Pretty much is like all I need is an RPC URL, and then I can just get all assets, and it doesn't need to be indexed like it does on EVM, and I don't need the API for the indexer, which is Alchemy. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I was surprised that it worked.
Why did we ever build on EVM? Why did everyone build on EVM?
That was the hype. That was the cycle.
Well, then I do think it's easier. Solidity is easier. There's good open source culture for their contracts. But yeah, I think Solana makes like the things that you use 95% of the time pretty easy, I guess.
That's really cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're at time here, guys. Thank you so much for all that made it. Appreciate you jumping on. And I will work with the EMEA folks to see if we get a session with them so that they can share what they're doing. EMEA is the European folks, because right now it's super late for them, and so we'll try to get a session earlier for them so that we can kind of hear what they have going on. Thank you, everybody. Again, have a great rest of your day, and look forward to the magic happening over the weekend.
Thanks, Maximus. Thank you for all you do. And thank you, everyone else. See you guys later.